Welcome, everybody, to the April Board of Directors meeting. First piece of the agenda is to approve the agenda for tonight. Can I get, well, can we even approve it? We don't have a quorum currently. Do we need to wait until our board members that are late? Let's wait.
Do we with TJ?
We only have 4. We need 5 for a quorum.
Sorry, I was counting you.
Right. We like you, Stephen. Why don't we go ahead and start with stakeholder comments, because, yeah, we'll need our other board members to get here. I know we have 2 speakers tonight. You want to go ahead and go first?
I'm happy to defer to the other person first.
You can go.
Okay. So my name is Adam Miller. I'm a parent of a first grader at Cherry, and that's disability. And I wanted to talk to the board briefly about disability services. So her disability manifests as dyslexia and ADHD. It was diagnosed at a very early age, partly family, and so and partly because I happen to have somebody in the family who is the director of pediatric neuropsychology, which I'm proud of. And who told us to go get tested and told us who to go get tested by. But we brought those results with us when we enrolled her in Académie Lafayette. They were done in August of last year, so she was a kid. And initially there was this belief on behalf of the special ed people that somebody could be diagnosed, and we were denied services at all. And then her teacher reported that, lo and behold, she did manifest some signs of disability. And so that was reevaluated last January, and lo and behold, those tests did also show the same disability. So she was placed on an IEP, which was appropriate at the time. The problem is that we were told at the time that no services were offered. And it was conveyed to us in a manner in which no services would be offered, and that wasn't even a discussion that we had. And that was very concerning to us. We agreed to defer it. We privately hired an Académie Lafayette teacher who was recommended to us to provide some tutoring in French and reading. But when it came time to visit with the IEP for this year, and she's on a March cycle, the way the law works, you have to do it every year or whatever that IEP started. The process became really adversarial. And until we said we requested to start a dialogue, it wasn't even really to but the board or the IEP meeting involved an attorney for the school. The answer was that attorney I happen to know. I am an attorney, and so that may be de-escalated a little bit, but that would have been very adversarial for somebody who's not an attorney. When we ultimately came up with an IEP, and we made some suggestions about things that could be explored in terms of French, we want to be collaborative. We understand those resource challenges of the school. Trust me, firsthand, we realize that. And so we want to be collaborative, but the IEP was issued, and I've never seen this happen by any school, by a second attorney, who I'm not even sure represents the school, because their cover letter that they sent to me was very odd and said that I was asked by the first attorney to review this, but doesn't say they actually were acting on behalf of. And so we did meet with Mr. Beng last week. I thought that was very positive. But we want to partner with the school. We don't want this. My idea is not that people teach this. We'd like to avoid litigation over an IEP, but to provide the students of Académie Lafayette, all of them, not only my daughter, who have dyslexia, and staff tell us that somewhere between 15 to 20% are diagnosed with dyslexia, have that. And unfortunately, we wound up with a relationship with the special education director for Académie Lafayette, where she has emailed staff telling them she doesn't believe dyslexia is real, and is a medical diagnosis, and can't be treated by the school district, and isn't an appropriate diagnosis for an IEP. She tried to cancel us out of Académie Lafayette and told us that this was our decision to enroll our child at a French immersion school, and that was our problem to deal with. And I just think this is inappropriate, and I wonder what's being told about
I greatly appreciate sort of you raising the issue. I know support of special ed students is important to this board and to Mr. May, so I appreciate you raising that. We don't discuss it as a board, but, right, yes, but we'll continue to follow up.
One thing that she's right, we had a good meeting, because the director is not here. I just want to make sure that people know you have not heard his point of view in terms of, she said that she discouraged people not to enroll here. So I just don't want to be, people hearing it and say, I'm not disputing what he said, but also we have not heard the perspective. So I don't want to, people understanding from here that that's what we do.
Right. I appreciate you following up on it, to make sure we get the appropriate support. Thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you for hearing.
I'll get back to you, by the way.
I know. Our meeting was very positive, and I appreciate
Our goal is definitely to support all students of their success.
Very much.
Okay. Right, we have another speaker as well.
First of all, I have an eye infection. I have not been crying, although I am not going to promise that I'm going to get through this without crying. I'm going to say it because I typed it so that I can stay on point. I titled this speech, "My Child's Teacher is a Bully, and I Feel Like My School Does Not Care." That's the official title of my speech, and it sums up how I feel this year has gone for myself and for my students. Both of us have been bullied by one teacher, and it feels as though no one cares, or if they do, they have not shown it. 14 years is how long I've been at Académie Lafayette as a parent. I know the proper procedure to handle problems, and I've tried to communicate first with my child's teacher, then with the school social worker, the building principal, and the head of the school. And now I'm here. I'm here with 1.5 months left in this school year, and what feels like a year in the toilet, and a year of consistent bullying from this teacher. I will not name this teacher or anyone on the staff during my talk. Both toward my child and myself, we've been bullied, and I'm not alone. One of those parents is here with me today, and another parent spoke to you last board meeting. In fact, there are many 8th grade parents that feel the same way I do. I've spoken at a board meeting exactly twice in the 14 years that I've been at Académie Lafayette. The first was ironically to encourage me to open a high school so that my own child could attend that high school. And the second is here today, where I'm announcing to you that my child will not attend an Académie Lafayette high school. And I say this with great pain because I was so excited for a high school. But I don't feel that now he will be adequately prepared for an adult life if he attends a high school here, because this school has begun to feel militant, unwelcoming, and as though it isn't preparing our middle schoolers to take on the responsibility of personal autonomy and freedom. Our year started with multiple Saturday school strikes. My child could not breathe without receiving a strike. These are just a few of the things that he received a strike for: joking with his friends at lunch, using the wrong stairwell, handing back a lunchbox to somebody who dropped it in the hallway, late homework, talking, flying a paper airplane during a free period, and just being himself a normal 13-year-old boy. Strike after strike. Middle schoolers should be able to talk in the halls and have free passing periods and joke at lunchtime. It is abnormal that we restrict this behavior in the hallway or at lunch, and it's not teaching critical thinking or personal autonomy that they will need in high school. I reached out to the teacher, giving the most strikes, and tried to arrange a meeting because I wanted to find a solution. I wanted to have a reasonable conversation about what my son was doing and if there was something wrong, what we could do to change. She no-called, no-showed to that meeting. She sent an email 30 minutes after I had been sitting in the lobby here at Armour, stating that she had a sick kid. That's never a problem for me, that she knew her kid was sick earlier and did not bother to mention it to me because I was unimportant. She gave me no apology. She continued through email to belittle me and became aggressive in her communications. She even posted on Facebook about how mean some of the parents at the school were. This would turn out to be the way she treated me for the rest of the school year and many other parents, and how she communicated with us, as if we were unimportant and bothersome. She became so aggressive toward me that at one point I said I would no longer be communicating with her, but instead her supervisor, because it wasn't healthy. She then accused me of threatening her, letting her know I was going to communicate with her supervisor wasn't a threat, it was a statement, and I have the right to make such a statement in the face of aggressive and unprofessional behavior. She then asked that I never send her an email again. She said she would no longer communicate with me about my child's needs in class, and that I was no longer to communicate with her, which is childish, unprofessional, and not helpful. Apparently, she seems to think that she's not only justified in this behavior, but backed by the building principal, and telling parents that they're not allowed to email her. Not just me, multiple parents. She has told us that we have to use our kids as a go-between, or that we have to call the front desk and use them as a go-between to communicate anything we need to let her know. She believes she is backed up by the principal in this. She believes she is justified. I also reached out to the school social worker to get clarity on issues we were facing, and he felt that the school was going to intervene and get the teacher assistance with classroom management. Next, I met with the building principal to get clarity on the rules that this teacher was employing in her classroom and on her communication style. But I got no such clarity. In fact, in my conversation with the building principal, the social worker, the teacher, and the head of school, I found a few things. That there were a set of rules around Saturday school that had morphed over time, that had become unrecognizable to the staff. That Saturday school originated in order to help students who were struggling and was never intended to be a punitive little prison sentence as it's being used to manage a classroom. The rules that were stated that were warnings to be given, yet no warnings were being given. This teacher wanted the students to follow rules, but she herself was not following them. One administrative staff believed that the strikes reset every 30 days, which was not true. Another believed that they would go away if late work was turned in, and this was also not true. This bullying teacher went on to make a whole new set of rules for strikes that would make any missing homework an automatic strike. She made a contract and asked the students to sign it without parents present. She directly threatened the students that if they did not sign it, they would be sent to the principal's office. And then to add insult to injury, went on to make it an assignment that she put in manage back, and if it wasn't turned in with their signature, they would receive an instant Saturday school strike. All of this to say that Saturday school strikes were not being followed, and yet you were asking kids to follow rules that adults were not clear on and not themselves following. At another point, I was emailed by the building principal and asked if I wouldn't just consider asking my son to follow the rules and doing his work, as if I hadn't thought of this already or hadn't had a conversation with my own child about this. More importantly, it showed me 100% that there was no intent to have this teacher change her behavior instead only to blame students. Also making me feel as if I was the only person that this was happening to. I was not. After multiple meetings of admin, some changes were made, some data was uncovered. Over 50% of the total strikes given in 8th grade were from that one teacher, and that should have alerted the school that there was a problem. This teacher is inflexible, militant, escalatory, unprofessional, and not just with kids, but also with parents. In 14 years that I've been at the school, I have never been communicated with in an unprofessional manner that this teacher employs. She is a bully, and there is no plainer word. I was not the only one that was going through this, and I only found out about it, and that other parents were facing the same issues because I posted something on a private 8th grade Facebook page, and multiple parents jumped in and said this is also happening to me, at which point in time we finally felt a little bit of peace. Another parent spoke last month to you about this exact same issue. We simply want to help our kids to be successful. We want clarity on issues, and we want help on these insanely detailed assignments that are being given. She sends home lengthy emails that are so lacking in clarity, and then when we ask questions, she is dismissive or escalates them and degrades parents. Many parents have been asked to no longer contact her, none of whom want anything except to help their students. We formed a group to speak to the school. We were admonished by leadership for going to Facebook, but how else would we have known that we weren't alone in this? We don't see each other at school. We're not invited to the school. We don't have parent pickups. We have no other way to connect. I felt ashamed that this was happening to my student until I found out that it was happening to many students. And I have the right to be connected to parents and to show respect from this teacher and the school. The school would completely fall apart if it weren't for supportive parents like us. Yet this teacher continues to bully us and tell her we can't email her for clarity on projects. It's unacceptable. Incidentally, through all of this, we never once asked for the teacher to be fired. Those were not our terms. We made many compliments, in fact, of her. In fact, what we asked for was her to be coached and helped. We asked for 5 things. Clarity on the Saturday school strike rules, to restrict her from using them so frequently and flippantly, to have clarity on her grading metrics because she uses it inconsistently and unfairly. We asked for her to be coached on her communication, and we asked that the projects she keeps assigning to be looked over for equity concerns because not all children can meet the requirements that she places on them. There's a Facebook thread today of a parent who's falling apart because she thinks that she has to spend $100 on rope, twine, metal, and wood that she doesn't have laying around the house to complete a project that that our kids are being given. We did not ask for her to be fired, yet she went to our kids in class in the same week and told them that there was a group of parents trying to get her fired. This is unprofessional, aggressive, and again, bullying. You want us to go through the proper channels to make change, but change has taken us a whole year. Instead of having a fun 8th grade year before high school, we've had a miserable, challenging year, and the proper channels process has cost us 8 months of misery, and the price paid was by our 13-year-old. The group of parents that formed worked on and put forth reasonable lists of resolutions to issues we were facing, and that was all the way back to December and January, and we received no follow-up. It's nothing from those meetings. We have seen in the newsletter that Saturday school strike changes have been made, but no further follow-up. We all know data is king, and you all found through data who was getting Saturday school strikes and that there was an issue with the teacher, and now I'm asking you to collect data. How many parents have complained about the staff member? How many parents have struggled with her class this year? How many parents are choosing not to come to an AL high school because this year's treatment and that teacher's behavior? What has it cost you? I think you'll find out that the cost is immeasurable, and I can only tell you that it cost you a parent who had dedicated 14 years. I wanted them to come to this high school. I was excited about the possibilities, and this year and this teacher and this lack of concern over her behavior and blaming kids and parents, I don't see a path forward for us. I've heard from many parents past how hard it was to leave AL, and I guess I should say thank you for making it easy to walk away.
Appreciate you sharing all of those thoughts. We'll definitely follow up to better understand. Thank you for your time tonight. And how are you? I'm good. How are you? I know everybody had a very busy day today, so we're running. We will continue to follow up on sort of the concerns shared by parents. I know it's a big deal to this board that everybody feels welcome at the school. So we're going to go back to approval of the agenda. We didn't have a quorum when we sort of kicked off the meeting, so if I could get a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Everyone, is there any discussion? Everyone in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I think one thing, as a board needs to do is, next time for stakeholders' comments, how much it should be about staff members. What should be a grievance filed to the board? What should be, especially staff members to talk to? I don't think we should be allowing any parent to come and clash with a staff member at a board meeting, because the staff member is not here to say a different thing. If there is a parent who has specific concern from the principal, a staff member, and the chief, head of school can file a grievance, and the board can look at it and deal with that. What I want to say, and hopefully we'll talk to Dana and see what is allowable and not allowable as comments.
Good point. It should be reminded as people sign up where that's. Next is PTO. And will you come up here? I'm not sure. I saw a text that we can't always hear people in the back. So there is microphones here at the.
Okay. All right. Well, that's kind of a hard one to follow. So, yeah, I haven't been by in a while, so I'm sorry I have not been more communicative. So if you guys have any questions or anything, feel free to ask. Just wanted to update some of the things that we've been doing this year, as the people that maybe are not as involved in the day-to-day of the school may not know, but we've had successful events like the VIP dance for the boys and the girls. This month we're doing playground mixers, which is a time where the families can get together after school and the PTO has treats for them and just families talk and hang out. We're doing that on Friday. And then also, this is a really busy weekend because then Saturday is the high school dance and the middle school dance. So a lot going on. We did buy tents. So we bought two 13 by 26 tents because we were renting those for $1,000 each time we rented them. So those are property of the PTO, but I did put a sign on there that if we need to use them for another event, to let us know. We're putting them up for the first time on Saturday, so we hope that they're not.
I'll be there. I'll let you know how it goes.
Okay, good, because I'm out of town, so I'm like, I hope it goes okay. Also, some things that we've done scholarship-wise, we did give scholarships to France. There was six $500 scholarships. Madam Hubaidi actually got a grant or something to cover $1,500 of that. So we only paid $1,500 for that, but then we're used the other $1,500 to for fifth grade scholarships because fifth graders are now going back to Wildwood. So we got a request for that. So that money is going towards scholarships for that. And then one thing I thought might be worth bringing to the attention just while everybody's here is we get a lot of requests from the social workers. So I didn't know if they had a particular budget that they were working from, but we, of course, never want to say no to the social workers, but, you know, sometimes we're trying to follow our budget and, you know, we've made exceptions for them. Things like that kids needed coats and sweaters, a science fair project. So we made exceptions for that and gave them some money for that. And then the pickleball event that just happened 2 weekends ago, last weekend or the weekend before, was kind of a last-minute addition. And so that money we actually decided would go towards the social workers. So I don't have the exact figure, but it was around $1,600 we raised, and I'm planning on sending an email to you guys to say, do they have a budget that we can put that in, or is there a better way to make sure that they have that money? And then other things coming up are the teacher appreciation in May, that we're just facilitating some things on that. And then we're going to do, instead of end-of-year picnic like we used to do years ago, since end of year is right at Memorial Day, we're going to do that rendezvous block party June 3rd, which is the Saturday before summer school starts. And it's going to be a free event, kind of like the end-of-year picnic used to be, or like Food Bayou is, and it's for this. So there'll be some things maybe you might purchase there, like drinks or something, but the entrance is going to be free. And we want to make sure that we market that to the incoming kindergarten families. So since that'll be like right before summer school starts, so I'll probably be reaching out to Roger or whoever can get out the emails to the new kindergarten families on that.
And I mean, to your question about the social workers, I do think it's awesome that you all have stepped in to sort of help where you can. I think we also want to make sure they know what are the resources to connect families with if they have those needs that can really provide them ongoing support. Usually that's indicative of sort of a bigger sort of support that the family might need. So would love to think about, do our social workers know who to refer families to when they are. Like knowing that we can't be everything to everyone, it's great to step in when we can, but more strategically making sure they have the ongoing support.
Yeah, and I know Adam has started some additional things here at Armor. There's like a food pantry, and there's maybe some clothes in there too, some coats and things.
The
there's a lot of community resources out there that our
Yes.
social workers can connect to.
And they might already do that,
and
but
they might
it's
be,
just that
absolutely.
we got an ask and.
Right, yes, and I
Yeah.
appreciate you stepping in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
But it just kind of made me think, do they have a budget, does the social work staff have a budget that they can work from, for, and I imagine they do, but I didn't know, but anyway, it's just, that's something that has come up several times.
The other piece I'll mention, teacher appreciation is the first week of May. I do think it would be great to do something from the board to sort of do for teacher appreciation, so I'll send out an email, just donuts or something, on behalf of the board to thank the teachers, so I'll send it.
Yeah, and it's actually, the 5th through the 8th or something like that. It's not that first week, because the first week is,
It's like a weird, okay.
it's like a half
I'll
week.
make sure I have the
So
dates
just
right.
know that it's
Okay.
kind of like the second week.
Okay, excellent, good to know. Thank you. Good to see you. All right, next is approval of the minutes. You'll see, I think we started just putting a link to the slides that Mr. Meng uses so that we can have the details, but very brief minutes that just indicate the motions that we took. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? In favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
All right, governance is short, and sweet. So annual retreat, we have June 10th. Everybody has that on their calendars. We're good. We know the place, right? We sent that out yet?
We sent a calendar hold, yeah.
Okay, but
Not the
of
location.
where the location is. So let's send that out. And then we will have another board meeting, June 26th. And that will be when we do the budget approval. Does that work with your calendar?
I'll have to get back to you, but,
Okay.
I mean, if we could approve it sooner, that'd be good too, if you're up for that. I mean, if we approve it for the June board meeting.
I think often, so
Yeah,
that, I
we
think
will-
what we were thinking is, last summer, we asked a lot of
Yeah.
meetings of our board members, and so we wouldn't do the regular board meeting.
Right.
Okay.
We would have the June
Oh, I
10th
see.
retreat in
Yep.
place of the regular board meeting. We would have the 26th meeting as a regularly scheduled board meeting, and then
Yep.
nothing in July, because July is typically very hard on people's
Yep.
calendars. We have low attendance. So that way, we're not sort of asking for 4 separate meetings, from people in the summer. So, we don't need a sort of confirmation today. I'll put that in an email, but that's sort of our thinking, to just sort of not, be too demanding for the board.
Yep, so that's what we're looking at on dates. Does anyone have a conflict with June 26th? On the board members right now?
I won't be able to make that one.
Because we do need to make sure we at least have a quorum for that.
Right, so we'll follow
You'll-
up by
you'll know the
email.
whole budget, finance stuff.
One more time.
Okay. Yeah, let us know if there's,
We'll follow up.
and then,
Yeah, I'll definitely not.
okay. And then we're working on, bylaws. We met at the last governance meeting, got bylaws updated. Dana, I'll be getting in touch with you to make sure that everything that we're trying to do, flies. And then we'll have those out to everybody to review and then vote. I think that's all I got.
Yeah, I think that was it.
Okay.
Any?
All right. So, first item is accounts payable, and we sent that out last week, with the transactions. There was 3 noted there. During the finance committee, we didn't note any additional, transactions. And so, no additional discussion was there, but did anyone have questions over the Excel file that went out? Okay, so we'll need a motion to approve the March 2023 accounts payable transaction.
So moved.
A second. Discussion? Everyone in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next item is the financial statements. So from a cash in, cash out perspective, we spent more than we received in February by $230,000. But year-to-date, cumulatively, July through February, we've still received more than we spent by $500,000. So, and on screen there, the graphic, we've got month-to-month changing cash. You can kind of see how we've been trending, and then far to the right there, our year-to-date, $548,000 to the good currently. As a projection, though, based on year-to-date through February activity and then remaining budget categories and the known information through this month, April, and then also with the intent of moving ESSER 3 monies as carryover, we're projecting $18.3 million in revenues and then $18.4 in expenses. So right now we're looking at a possible deficit that is manageable, though. And so just some additional observations. This also went out with the finance packet there, the projection. But some observations and variances. So that revenue, the reason it changed from when we presented the revised budget back in December, is the $1 million in ESSER funds. So we were projecting $1 million as a surplus, but we're planning to move that into next year as carryover, and so that's why, you know, we're closer to that break even. And then expenses have decreased some compared to if we were to look at what we presented back in December for the revision, and that's just due to salaries. We haven't filled all of the staffing positions, and I mentioned that in previous meetings as well. One additional of note item, and that's food service. So I'm projecting that's going to be over budget by $130,000. So we're spending on average about $40,000 per month with our catering service or food service for the schools, JoJo's catering. And so when I'm looking back at how we budgeted for that and looking for next year's budget as well, for this year we used pre-pandemic numbers when budgeting, and so it was an oversight on our part, and so like I said, we're projecting that we'll be over budget in that category by $130,000. So also looking at the cost of meals, so by month they're about $2.82 per meal, and when I compare that to last year, that's just a 10-cent increase. So last year it was averaging about $2.72. So you know, when the budgeting process was happening, I guess we just overlooked that the meals had gone up significantly. So, but like I said, we're looking at next year. We'll increase that budget line to make sure we're not over budget on food service. We can also look at, you know, who we contract with too. So.
We were using pre-pandemic numbers. Is that number of students or cost? Like what?
The cost.
Yeah.
Pre-pandemic cost. Yeah, if I look at the 2018-19 year, we spent about $211,000 to payments to JoJo's. The next year was about $230,000, and then pandemic dropped to like $140,000. Last year was $500,000, which was with the seamless or with the free lunches essentially.
Right, yeah.
So everybody was eating.
Yeah.
And so we just went back to pre-pandemic numbers, thinking that's how it would drop off, but we just didn't anticipate as much.
Mm-hmm. Do any unpaid meal balances contribute to this? Or?
No,
No?
but that did go out, so we were, you know, we hadn't received payments, and so a message went out to parents that there were balances, and so we did receive quite an influx last month. I think it was like $30,000.
From about 4 to close to 30.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah.
So that was a nice bump there, but no, that does not affect this number here that we're looking at. You know, part of that deficit too, just moving on to the next point there, you know, if annual fund doesn't reach its goals, that'll add to the deficit too. So with our current projection, that's assuming we meet our annual fund goals. And so just, I'm looking at, something I'm working on this week, next week, is looking at fixed costs, fixed expenses, our salaries, and kind of planning backward to making sure that we balance the budget this year. Any questions over the financial statements?
So I did a whole growth per year, sorry. So where we're at right now with all of our annual raffle, Generations Day, Musketeer March, which did so good, community outreach, evening in Paris, our annual fund appeal, which is at $103,000 right now. By the way, just got that. And then our campus initiative fundraisers, which is starting this year with our different programs that we're supporting through our campuses. So that's where we're at right now. Our net is at 147 from last year. We will probably exceed it just because of, hopefully our evening in Paris will take a jolt up, and then because our Musketeer March went up almost 60%. And then as you guys see the numbers there, and then our expenses, try to keep it as low as possible. With our annual raffle, we're probably up about $2,000 less than from years prior, and we made more of a profit. So that's actually been a good increase. Again, with Musketeer March, we take a 30%, but because this year we exceeded, we went down to 27%. So they take 27%, and then we take the rest. And that's for everything that they do. And then our community outreach, there's one that's coming up, which is our Kendra Scott, but most of those funds will be going to our Senegal students that will be part of the Friends of Gayul. So they're going to do an exchange of transfer of funds. It's actually a cute experience that they're all going to have. Any questions on any of that?
So remind me, what's the amount we need to bring in of what's left this year? EIP to meet our goal?
EIP, our campus initiatives, we still have a few going out, our annual fund appeal, and we do have some community outreach. So we probably have about 60 days that would extend it out. Annual fund appeal will probably go out for another maybe 65 days.
And the amount we need to bring in to meet our goals, with everything come up, right?
The goals, this was broken up into my projection of what I estimated. So that's a great goal, 620,000. That's just giving us more of a shoot, because just for the fact that we've never had such high goals in the past, so I wanted to reach to the top. So depending on how the last 4 do, I doubt we'll honestly make the current projection. But we probably would be at like maybe 450.
And in the budget is the 620? What's in the what did we?
I've never gotten a budget, so that's
350.
So we need to,
Well, it says current year projected 620. And that's before expenses.
so when I checked the numbers last, we were close to needing about $260,000 to meet our goal.
Still this year, okay.
Yes.
That was the number that I was looking for, and that seems unattainable.
Yeah.
That seems unlikely.
160,000.
How is Evening in Paris sales going? Like, how many, because I know last year we only had a limited number of tickets. This year, we have
about 400. So
400 sold.
No, that's what we have, total 400. So we're roughly at about 210 right now.
Tickets sold. Right.
So
the number of
400.
dollars that you have is 26.
That is tickets sold currently right now.
Okay, and then the expenses we have in it are 28,000 so far?
We don't, right now, that's expected, my current budget, so it's 28.
Okay.
Right now, year actual, we don't have it right now. So we're, I think, roughly at about 8,500 in expenses.
And so the rest of the money comes from any additional ticket sales?
Any additional ticket sales, the silent auction,
Okay. Do you have a live auction going too, or is it just silent?
silent.
Do you have an idea on the value of the silent auction items?
Not right now. There's constantly coming in. Haven't had a chance to put all that together yet.
And is the lack of the live auction just because we don't have the stuff to do? Because I know that's where typically
Yeah.
most of the money, like silent auction, from my recollection, I wasn't directly involved. That's fairly small dollars, the live action is where, or the live auction, but do we just
If we
not
can get,
have?
no, if we can get it, that'd be great. I mean, I keep pushing out there that if anybody wants to donate or anything of that nature, we have the stage, we have the equipment, we have the resources, so we can do it. So if you guys have an idea here at the board, bring it on. It can be done. The resources are there to actually do it.
Back up to a previous question about the budget. I have shared the budget, and it is $460,000.
Is what's budgeted
Is
in?
what's budgeted
And to
in.
get to that is the 260 that we still need.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
The only way you can do it is, we have to be more aggressive with our annual drive. I think the level of participation has been much higher than what we are now. You can add another 100,000 there if we are more aggressive. Unfortunately, we started it late, so starting just after Thanksgiving. We started after, the first, how do you say it? So, and then there's no aggressivity on that.
Yeah, there's been nothing else go out on it.
the annual drive. Because, and the auction
Yeah.
has the potential also, has the potential to bring a minimum of $100,000.
But it sounds like we're not in a position right now to get anywhere close to that. And it sounds like only half the tickets have been sold as well. I think we're struggling to get parents interested, struggling it, so that is definitely a worry.
Any thoughts as to why there's a lack of interest in wanting to buy tickets? It usually sells out, I don't know. Yeah, I'm just asking.
Yeah, it used to be, I think we've got, the venue is very far away, is, I think, part of the issue.
Okay,
But I'm not sure what you're hearing as to why you can't.
right.
I have no idea. This is just annual raffle. I'm assuming you guys already seen these totals. Current year and previous year, all of our numbers did go up. Participation went up, and our net profit definitely went up from previous years. It is always a 6-week-long event, continues to generate funds. More students get involved. Now what we're going to do is hold our students, especially Armor, has a huge lack of motivation to be involved. So having them earn 50% of either annual raffle, Musketeer March, that will go in towards their international travels. So we're going to try and use that as an initiative for 23 and 24. So hopefully that works. There wasn't much this year. The 15 students that were going to Senegal, only one actually did contribute and participated in the Musketeer March for their funds. So we need to motivate Armor a little bit more. Generation Day Art Walk is starting to be an exciting new tradition. The different generations and special individuals that do attend do enjoy this. It's actually been a great increase in our funds. Small, but hopefully it will grow. Now with the art teachers, we have decided to create for next year so that every parent is involved. It's the K through 5 Exposition d'Arte Académie Lafayette that will be hosted at Cherry for both Oak and Cherry, K through 5. That way everybody will be involved, a 2-day event that the art teachers are going to work all year long and put that into their curriculum so that we can bring in more funds through for the art programs. So it was just a kickoff, and this way all the Generation Day events, this will continue as it seems to be growing now for our 2nd year.
And I think it's important to distinguish. I think some events we do are community building, some are raising funds. EIP is raise as much funds as we possibly can. This is community building. So I think any funds that can come in are, an added perk,
Oh, no.
but the focus is really getting families engaged.
Yeah, this has been a really, families this past year, because we did it in November, were coming in from all different states. So it was a really unique, opportunity. Now they're looking forward to the following year, or I guess this year.
Yeah, in fact, it'd probably be good to move that out of development.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah.
And our Musketeer March, our previous year, we raised 99,000. This year, we're at 130. It was a great response. Surprisingly, the students, it's almost just a few more from last year. But what was very unique is that we had 6 different countries that were involved because of our students' nationalities. So they reached to our 6 different countries and about 43 states from all over. This was a really huge success, especially with all the students that had T-shirts. They got to get marked every time they went around, so that was a motivation, and raise more funds because they got incentives as well.
I just think it's interesting, this takes almost no work from the school. We contract it out and we pay them to do it, and the amount it raises is more than we've gotten in EIP, which is an enormous amount of work. And so yeah, I am really excited the direction we took with this, because I know it hasn't been too many years that we've used.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Musketeer March is good.
But I do think, back to your question, Gwen, on EIP, I worry our parents just don't feel a part of this community. They don't feel a part of the school, and so they're not engaging in things like EIP. So I think it's, my guess, one thing is we just have a bigger issue with parents feeling really a part of this community.
And probably something that we need to look at.
Right, yes. I mean, it is a huge indication of, are we going to be successful as a school, is how well our parents feel connected and a part of the school.
But also
So-
getting engagement and getting invitations out to the greater community. I mean, this needs to be a gala where we are having
A big gala.
Right, yes, did we sell, like, tables for fun? I mean, tables
No
love
tables.
to sponsor tables. Wow, what was the thinking there?
Because a lot of families from last year, they noticed that years prior, tables were already sold, and then they couldn't attend. So the tables were already purchased, tables of 10, and then they couldn't go. So then they were limited to coming. So limiting the tables allows everybody to come in. So there was more value to more parents, families were more involved, they're more involved in coming, they're more involved in participating. So families who have never attended are attending for the first time.
But we have less families, and we could have had individuals plus tables, because you can sell the tables as sponsorship. It's a big
Right.
moneymaker, which I know we talked about, but we need to, yeah,
Something
we need
to
to get this out to
reconsider.
the community as a.
Yeah, we need to put a team together instead of just the parents right now that are supporting me.
And have you all sent out any information regarding what items will be a part of the silent auction?
We will here
So,
shortly.
okay, because that may also kind of draw interest, folks know, and they're prepared, so I want to come so I can bid on this item.
You have to attend student
No.
dialogue.
No, it's online.
So will this be a part of our planning on June 10th to kind of talk about the, that community engagement or family engagement piece as a strategy, or?
And I think we're revisiting the strategic plan and what are because from the goals that the board set, then the buildings were saying, how do we reach those goals? What are the strategies we have in place? And a big piece of it is sort of getting parents more engaged, sort of developing those.
Well,
I think COVID has kind of changed a little bit of how all of us do our work, and we need to kind of get ahead of what that new normal is.
Yeah.
What the new normal is.
There is,
Right.
but I've been to a lot of events this year. They're sold out. They're packed.
They are breaking records.
They are breaking records.
Are
They're
ready
ready
to
to
go
go
out, now they want to get out.
I did have a question. Where did the projected number come from? 'Cause, where does that come from? The projected number?
That 620?
Yeah, based on just previous years,
I added 30% towards all of it to help with the
towards
increase.
every number.
That's the same number you put in the budget? Or did
No.
you bring it down good?
And you were gonna say something about the strategic planning session?
No, parent engagement, I think it's a very complex
It is,
issue. And
absolutely.
if you look at our parents, I still think they're very engaged. So they attend parent conferences. This Musketeer March, $77,000, it means that the parents are behind.
Very good point.
And
100 parents at the
they're helping
pickleball?
with beautification. They're helping in many, many ways. But I think because for this event, we just need to analyze different aspects of it and go from there and see how do we make sure that you can look at the location, you can look at the date, you can look at the committee, you can look at so many themes and so many other things that may help bring the numbers up.
That's a very good point.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not accessible to all, right? It is we do a lot of community building events to engage parents. This is not something that's accessible to all, right? It's a costly event, so.
I mean, there must be a match when I first suggested to do it. They fought me. They fought me, they doubted me, and PTO didn't want to, I even trade with the PTO. They cut my funds. I say, I've done it to 2 schools, it brings a lot of money. And, but I'm glad he's making $77,000.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, the organization. Yeah.
All right, thanks, next, you're up.
Okay. Recognition, thank you to our wonderful staff. Here we have appreciated recognition, Mr. Sadie, Mr. Berry, and the ELA team for the implementation of the new dyslexia square.
Which, I mean, I am really glad that we're doing that. That should happen at the school, so.
This is a requirement by the state anyway. You have to do it 2 or 3 times a year.
I think that's important to parents.
The issue we have especially for dyslexia is service. The service should be done in English or in French. And if you have an IEP, at this point, our understanding is it should be serviced by somebody who are certified in education. Now, what we're looking into now, whether or not we can have paraprofessionals trained for teaching dyslexia in French or not. That's something that we're looking into.
I know, I mean, staffing shortage is the real issue. Having the ability, who has the expertise and the additional language is a very difficult position to hire for.
So now what happens if someone's positive screen?
We service it through our special education. So, but this is also helpful with teachers. So our teachers are trained also to help do that. It's a requirement for teachers to integrate it, but you know it's not there where we need to be. For Oak, Natalie Delury and Mary Mope, they are both recognized for the creative way they teach the French language to their students. Madame Delury had her students write and perform a play. Madame Mope invited a French author to teach the process of writing a book. It was fun. Thank you, Madame Delury and Madame Mope.
Is that Madame Mope in the middle? She almost
Yes,
went right in.
yes, she did. I thought I was only children at first.
She's very useful, I love it.
Recognition for our social work, Adam, middle school social worker. This is his 4th year at Académie Lafayette, first year here at Arma. With students, he is kind, compassionate, caring, and patient. He's doing an excellent job coaching students, counsel, and bringing out the leadership skills of students and empowering them to positively use their voice. We also enjoy his gardening and culinary skills and benefit greatly from his attention to detail. Love Google documents. That's kind of
Okay, that's kind of scary.
I love it. You have a passion for everything.
Yeah. And you gotta know that person who has a love for Google Documents.
And kind of ability to find opportunities for funding and programs to better support students. Thank you.
That's awesome.
So admissions and outreach, you wanna say something?
Okay, so for admissions and outreach, this is actually the data for the new incoming students. So for kindergarten, we offered 253 seats. This is the data breakdown of the seats that have been offered. Go to the next slide.
I just wanted for the board to look at the the breakdown of 52%. So 52, 48, slightly close to where we want it to be.
So on this next slide, this is actually data for our current year for 23-24 for this upcoming school year. This is the demographics of our offered students. And then on the right, we have the offered seat demographics for the 22-23 for the current school year. So I definitely just want to point out from last year to this upcoming school year that our minority percentage has increased.
For what we offer.
Is that that's after siblings and that, or is that total?
Yeah, it's all total.
Okay.
And this is for offered. So then we have a look here at what our declined seats look like. Again, on the left, we have for this upcoming school year and then for the current school year. Yeah, and so this is the data, and so just kind of reflected for minority. For this school year, it actually increased for the number of families that declined seats.
Significant. And does each family give a reason for decline? Like, do we know?
So they're not required to provide a reason. However, what I am doing is consulting with School App KC in order to see what data they are able to provide as far as like what schools that the declined families decided to go with instead.
Do they decline through the app, or do they?
Yes, yeah, they decline through the app.
Yeah, that's a worrisome
Could this be
increase.
tied to the ease at which you can apply? So that perhaps getting more applications and therefore more denials
Yes.
and declines? I mean, it doesn't automatically mean something sinister.
Right.
Right.
And I don't think we know how many of the seats that we offered were we their first choice or not. Like, were we ever?
Correct, yes, and so the way that School App KC is set up, you're able to apply to multiple schools. However, you're only able to accept one offer. So once you accept that offer, it cancels out any other pending offers that you'd have and immediately puts it in a decline status.
Do you prioritize your selections on that app? Like if you apply to multiple schools, they prioritize it?
It's just however you apply. There's no necessarily priority or preference. Yeah.
Okay.
Because, yeah, I would love to know more about what that is, and I don't think we have the data to know.
But if you look at the numbers though, from the 2 day, it's only two different there, 22, 20,
Right.
24, African American, and the white has a high percentage of lesser percentage now in terms of decline. So 8 as opposed to 2 over there. So I think that this is also tracing what was the final preference of those declines.
Where they ended up.
Yeah. I know that some of went to some of our competitors, but also a lot of private schools too.
Right, that would be interesting data to look at, sort of see what they chose instead.
Are parents able to pick a school before the lottery for Académie Lafayette happens? I know you mentioned that once they select the school, it cancels everything out.
So they're not able to pick.
Okay.
They apply to however many they want, then they get the notices, maybe they got selected in 5 lotteries, and they choose which one of those they want.
But it's after the lottery has
Yes.
started. Okay.
Okay, so this is the data for our Cherry campus. This will be our incoming students at Cherry. And so this kind of shows, again, for the upcoming school year as well as our current school year. And so our total minority number has increased from last year to this year.
And yet, we still continue to offer it, right? So this is what exists
Yes.
right now, the
For
first
right
round.
now, yes. Yeah, but as families are, submitting their applications, it is being reviewed on a daily basis, multiple times throughout the day. So as families are submitting applications, they are, in fact, the admissions department is handling that accordingly.
Because our max number per campus is 110?
105.
Okay. So really, it could fluctuate pretty significantly between now and the first day of school. And even then, who shows up?
Yes.
Because we'll have to decide at the Cherry part, especially that if we're gonna copy that, 88 or no, because it's going to be at some point, 4 kindergarten or 5 kindergarten.
Mhm. So when do you need to sort of make that decision?
Like June.
Yeah. So you can't sort of, okay.
So we just saw Cherry, and so this is the demographics for the Oak campus, what it looks like for incoming.
And that's a lot closer. There's less room to fluctuate there. That one is more set in stone, in worrisome ways.
So now as people try to fill potentially open seats, they reach out to you, and then what's the process? They just complete their application?
Yep, so they complete their application through School App KC. Then we're notified that they've submitted an application. From there, a seat is offered. Once parents accept the seat, then that's when their campus placement is determined. And so typically, we do determine placement based on the campus zones. But in some cases, like last year, we got to the point to where it just had to be based on which campus had the availability. So, yeah.
So it's just first come, first served from now on until all the spots are filled.
Well,
Right, yeah, not,
around June-ish, we'll determine.
Yeah. It'd be good also to know what is the percentage of decline based on campuses, maybe later on we can look at whether, because you tell them you're going to this campus, what is the percentage of decline, depending on what campus?
Now, most of the families, though, have declined just in general, without even knowing without the campus.
letter. Right,
Yeah,
so the
without
lottery,
getting that far.
right, I mean, that, they don't even necessarily know at the time that they accept,
Okay.
Correct.
correct?
Yes,
So-
unless they just automatically live in the campus zone.
Right.
Then their campus is determined. But for the most part, most families have declined before we've gotten to this stage.
And they have to already provide the eligibility to fill out the app on School App, like you're not verifying, or do you have to verify that they live in?
Yes, I am verifying
Okay,
the
you still
proof
have
of residency, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so for School App, it's just a quick 5-minute process, but once they actually accept their seat, then we're going through the enrollment process, verifying proof of residency, immunizations, all that good stuff.
Okay, so if you can't get that, then they end up getting declined. They don't decline, but you.
Yeah.
And does this align with previous years, not the breakdown, but just the number of seats that are still available?
For last year, yeah, it's kind of, but not pre-pandemic, no. Pre-pandemic was higher, so,
But when did we start the Common App, right? Because that's when I thought we saw numbers really drastically change, when you could apply one, right, you could just choose them all. So you got,
Before we did Common App, because people will knowingly apply for a school, and, but at the time also we only took 120. So that's what we used to take. So we got 109 something, and go all the way to 200. We decided to take, everybody will apply. So that's something that probably we need to get back our initial plan when we did the expansion 198. That's what we planned to do. So not taking anybody all the way to 120. So, but what we've seen is, with the pandemic, not getting to where we want to be. The last 2 years. Previous years, was not the same. When we had 220 before the pandemic. Had that. Second thing is, since this pandemic, we have not implemented our outreach program at all. It will understand still at all. We have no preschool teacher in all these low-income preschool schools that would create awareness and applications. We used to have 2 teachers with intervening 5 preschool programs, low income. We have 0 this year, including our own preschool program, unfortunately. We used to have recruiters going to target from zip codes, help recruit, we don't have it. I think that once we get back to our full implementing our outreach program, which we need to really invest and do it back, we should be getting where we need to be in terms of number of application and number of enrollments. But this is with zero effort almost.
I wouldn't say zero effort. I know you all put a lot
No,
of
when I say
right.
effort, I'm talking about outreach efforts. I'm not talking about
Being
touring.
in the school.
Right.
Touring, normal things that we do. I'm not saying about that. I'm talking about outreach efforts out there to target people. That's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But I think it also comes down, and I think the hard thing is I don't think we can ever answer this, why so many minority families are declining, right? So we had a pretty even number of applications. We had sort of more of the breakdown that we wanted in applications. We had just not in the people who accepted. So understanding what that's about, which I don't think we can, right? That's the hard thing. I don't think we have the data to answer that question.
Well, we have been talking about, I think that we need to look at what is the perception of our schools. That's what we need to look for. I have a parent of Hispanic background sent me an email, and I'm going to meet with her. The issue was concerned about the lack of outreach towards the Hispanic community. I think she's right. So again, I'm talking about outreach means those people who are applying to any schools, you don't know the level of interest. But if they apply because we have been providing French in their kids, they like it, there's more likelihood for them to enroll and continue. So they have to apply. But the perception might be the first area we need to look into. This is not AM students coming from outside.
So do we know how many outside students we're accepting?
So far, 12 have accepted their seats.
So we have
What's the total then, with eighth graders that are moving up?
we don't know yet because they're enrolling now. Enrollment is today.
I think today is
Yes.
the deadline.
Today?
Right, yes.
Did
everybody do it? Go home and do it right now.
Mr. Ray, you did it.
I made a commitment that I will be the last one to enroll my kids. Because leaders is last. You let everybody enroll first. That's what I do.
Very thoughtful.
But I did it over the weekend. So.
And we're also launching a campaign, as well for re-enrollment, to help families that have not already completed re-enrollment. So we do have a couple parent volunteers that will come Thursday and help with making phone calls so that we can assist the remaining families.
In fact, I have an email I didn't send out to you guys yet to ask any board members to join us for that. So I'm going to be smiling and dialing. Anybody wants to join?
What was our budgeted number of students? Was it 40?
45.
45.
The cap
So
for ninth
our goal
grade.
is to get 15 from outside students, 3 more. But next year we graduate our first high school. We have already the culture and so on now. We're doing more with outside students. We have not been to any school, any charter school, middle school, or any private and so on to sell our program. Now we do it. We'll for this coming school year. That's one thing we'll do, and with the goal of getting 25 from outside. Yeah, I think our high school culture team is really doing really well. We have really great success story in the high school, especially for the first group. I think they love it. They did not regret choosing it again. Almost nobody left other than relocating from outside. All the initial group, and they're doing well. Thank you, Dr. Paul, and your team. You have a great high school team.
I agree. I think you all have done phenomenal. The few times I've gotten to talk with students there, I think it is so impressive what they're able to be engaged in, and whatever you just did to take, thanks, Christy, to take sixth graders up there. Emma came home, she's like, do you know what they get to do there? So I'm glad you're reaching down to younger students to really sell it, which we just hadn't had the opportunity to do in previous years.
We have not sold it really to our, other than the first year, to our own community. People don't know. But it's great. We have amazing teachers. It's amazing. So as you see, there was this participation to the walk, to the national walkout for against gun violence. So we had the STEAM 9 at Rutgers University. We used to do it at Cherry, but because of the number of kids participation, we thought that it would be better to do it at a bigger venue, and it was 600 people attending, which means that our parents are involved in what we want to do. It was a huge success. Thank you to Mr. Jata and Dr. Z from Rutgers and all the team who helped coordinate it. It was great. School Improvement Day, we focused on math sessions with the new series, Eureka Math. We're starting to implement the new curriculum is Eureka. We used to have Indigenous math, but it's discontinued. We have a lot of problems. So Eureka is founded in French, and we have the resources. We're training our teachers to use them. Next year, it will be extended to K-5. 10th graders shared the national baccalaureate, their international baccalaureate personal project last week. Was great. I took some pictures, and I have a kid who taught me how to start a business, all the steps, and another one how easy it is to learn another language. Korean taught me exactly how to learn it. Another one for Morse code, and somebody built a computer architecture, whatever, and all these crazy wires, and it's amazing. So we had great projects with the 10th graders. It's part of the IB program. Once you finish the MYP, middle year program, middle year is 6th grade to 10th grade. At the end of 10th grade, you have to present your personal project. And one of the students also shared with me his those whatever those, but you know, the cans, that.
Oh, right.
He was a philanthropist of the year, and he told me that from Cherry he was able to raise 30,000, and you can raise 60,000 in the school just for those.
The top guy.
It was unbelievable.
Who knew?
He said that, yeah.
Maybe like our next governor. Great. Yes, I'm not kidding.
A lot of money. I was impressed. And I philanthropist. He gave it to help the kid. I think now
Ronald McDonald House.
No.
Yes. And I'm going to completely take back my statement that parents aren't engaged. We had 600 families show up, so I was totally wrong in that. I will just say that's not an indication of parent engagement. So I'm going to totally take that back. So, but go on.
So safety, we're considering upgrading our building entrance at this point. This is the next level, because what I said in my weekly newsletter, we try to learn from, unfortunately, those tragic events somewhere, and what we need to do. When you remember when the San Luis one was about intercom system, we updated all our intercom system. Everything is working now, and at this point, we're thinking of how to secure our entrance door, unique entrance door. What we're trying to do is double meaning if you ring the bell, you buzz in another zone, there's another entrance that you need to talk to somebody before you buzz in the school. So, to know, not, at this point, if you buzz in, you're into the school. There's no screening period to that. That's something we're trying to do and look at what we can do. And probably it might be, we're thinking of making it a funding need for our evening fair. It's not official yet, so we have to meet. We really don't know, but we need to build one here. We have built one at Oak, but we're thinking of revising it. And then one at Cherry and here too.
Are there not federal dollars available to schools to make those kinds of improvements?
We have filed a grant.
Right, somebody must.
There's a grant for school safety, and then Bruce is helping us to do that. If you can get it, part of it is building that entrance.
Right, somebody needs to be helping schools.
Our nurses have been updating our emergency operation plan. We are using the COP module from the MSPA, Middle School, Safety Something School. It's a center dealing with that for education. As with any upgrade, we're reviewing the protocol. Protocol is making sure that we're doing all the drills that we need to do on a timely manner. We think that we're going to go with the MSPA to help us for our operation, our emergency operation plan. Mini blinds is part of the safety too. At this point, you can see it over there. Every classroom has a pull down. They're supposed to stay up all the time because we want to make sure that we can know what's going on in the classroom all the time. But in case of emergency, it will be pulled down and then lock the door.
Demonstration. Beautiful.
That's good.
Thank you. You did an excellent job with that. Very good.
Okay. So I just said talk about our students participating in the national workout event against gun violence. We have a lot of pictures of kids raising awareness outside. It's an issue, big issue.
And I appreciate, one, the attention that you all give to making sure we have all of the protocols and everything we need to keep kids safe, but also are allowing students to sort of be a part of sharing their voice. I know when you hear students talk about just the mental toll, and I'm sure teachers would share the same thing, the mental toll it takes on them just to walk in school and worry every day that they are going to get shot is heartbreaking.
Why is it done?
I don't know why it's done. It's still up here, so I can still see it.
I think the TV just sort of timed out.
Right. There's always something.
Maybe it's a certain level.
But luckily, they can still see
you
it.
have the remote.
You still have it on your computer. If we can't get this back up, I'm happy to
You
share.
should be able to. It's just a.
There we go. There it is. Here, it's back.
Okay, yeah. So today I had a safety, the newspaper, our kids, the high school have a newspaper, they interviewed me on safety and what's going to happen next year. I say, okay, I'll be careful about what I'm going to commit to. But I think they were really interested, and we had a good chat about, they talked about the metal detector, whether or not, and then whether or not we will have an officer. So we discussed whether or not we should have it or not. So it's something that we need to decide today. Because we already have a metal detector here function.
Just not in use.
But at the end of the day, I told them that the most important measure is still connecting with student relationship with student, making sure we care about who is having an issue. That might be extremely helpful. So, human resources, so the hiring part, we have eight who already signed the agreement, and we were also working on English, special education Title I positions. Middle and high school 5 signed the agreement, 1 more offer pending. I think we're doing well at this point. the biggest challenge, of course, especially education, finding teachers. And also some of the French teachers, I think that hopefully by the end of May, we'll be able to get what we need.
How many total positions? So it looks like we have 13 that have signed agreements.
Yeah.
How many total do we need?
So for the high school, I think we're almost there. We are looking for, we are 2 more, math and P, okay. And P, math we have already the candidates, so at least candidates are very interested. So the biggest challenge is going to be at the K5, is the visa and so on. We may need another 6 to go. Yes, but we'll see. We have until June to do that. Or May, if you want them to be here before school starts.
And that's 6 across both campuses.
Yeah. And then it will also depend on our final tuition rate. I think I told you also for the strategic planning, we had a session with 6 teachers invited and 7 administrators to discuss the top priorities the teachers shared with us that need to be, we think we should take into account or take care of. So we talk about the teacher compensation and benefit, output, educator output and educator support, handling children challenging behavior, and building safety, cleanliness, and upkeep. So we've developed action item for the first 4, and then we'll be looking into the last one, how to handle that one. But those action items, at least most of them will make it to the strategic plan of what we're trying to do to make sure that we support our teachers.
So that's what we'll hear more about on the 10th, to sort of hear more.
Yes.
And I mean, that number 4, the challenging student behavior, is something that we're just seeing across the country, that teachers don't know, parents don't know how to handle the new challenging behaviors they see either. And really worrisome ways, because I know it makes teachers' lives really difficult to figure out how to effectively address these new challenges.
One of the things we're thinking of is hiring behavior interventionists in elementary school, and also training teachers for PPIS, working with parents closely. Because if the school and the parents work closely, generally we're able to find solutions. But if there's a denial of responsibility, it becomes a problem. I always tell parents, I'd rather give them, listen to the school and to work with the school if there's challenging behavior. If you ignore it and you go somewhere else, you will be surprised that it has nothing to do with school. You have to work with any school you have if there's a challenging behavior. Transportation. So remember that we have 7 buses. All buses are now equipped with tracking system, cameras, and also you can look at the route, and the parents, kids when they enter, they can swap a car to get in, and we'll be able to see, parents will be able to see when their kids board the buses, and also where they are before they stop. It's not in operation yet because we need some training and making sure it works, but the hardware has been installed. So after school tutoring transportation has been handled by our own buses now. We have been using 2 buses to transport students home on Monday, Tuesday, Thursdays, 5 o'clock, 5. And we're using also our own buses to transport high school and middle school back. Yes, that's great.
Right. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons that we talked about would be a huge benefit of having our own buses, because we don't have equity and access to after-school opportunities, tutoring or sports, because of lack of transportation. So I'm glad to see we're starting to address that.
And first student continue to be a real challenge with some days where buses are not running some routes or delayed. We are looking, they've contacted another company, smaller company, to see if they can help us with to support 2 routes. So we haven't made a decision yet, but if we're interested in looking at if they can supplement those 2 routes, if or not, we're looking also into the cost of doing that, because we have to watch our budget too. And, looking also for next year, if we can buy a couple of more buses for, to use them as substitute or super buses. Problem is finding buses and finding drivers. Buses are scarcity now is the problem. But, well, that's what we're thinking of, if we're able to supplement it, or if we can find another provider to take over Oak and Cherry. But it may be risky.
Have we had any additional conversations with First Student regarding, combining any additional routes? I just know I get the text messages at this point, like most parents, almost daily. My kid doesn't ride the bus, but I see Route 4, Route 2, morning and evening. They never have a driver, or it's always those students are going to be dropped off after 8:30, maybe after 9:30. So knowing that those two seem to be the primary routes of concern, at least from my just reviewing the text message, have we thought about trying to consolidate again? I know we talked about that at the beginning of the year. Have they made any other?
We already consolidated at Oak. Cherry, we're thinking of also consolidating.
Yeah.
Because we consolidated because around number 9 has been a real problem. But, First Student has not been as responsive as quick as possible. But, it has been discussion that consolidating, Jeff asked them to try to consolidate routes for Cherry.
Okay. And I don't know if we need legal involved, right? If they're not responsive, they're not providing
the route.
services that they are contracted to do, so I don't know if they aren't responding, if we need to sort of get Dana involved to, like, but quite frankly, I don't think they're ever gonna do what we need them to do.
Well, I know that the other schools.
We're not the only school.
The other schools are having the
Right.
same.
They have the exact
Same thing. The last time we had a meeting, one of the superintendents told me,
That was me, sorry, I accidentally hit on
on a good day, there are 2 routes and running in the school, so, at this point, probably, my opinion, if you were able to find 2 buses that are owned and enough drivers, we'll be able at least to alleviate these issues. Or the best solution is finding a provider, bus service, different that can do it.
I don't think another service exists, yeah.
Well,
But I did see in
Mine.
Jeff's notes, when he put out the plea to, find more drivers, I think he had 8 people respond to say, now, I mean, they haven't gone through the process, so I think he's met with them to see what support he can provide, but it seems potentially there are drivers if we had buses, which I know is another huge obstacle, is just getting buses.
Yeah, we'll see, because he shared with us another smaller company, serving Allen Village. So we'll see what we can do with that.
When does it have to be decided if we use them next year?
That's a good question.
Well, if we need to do it, we need to send out, RFP, finding another one. I think it was already ready. So we need to do a request for proposal for buses and then see, we can find somebody else to do it and make a decision. We're already in April.
Or, I mean, initially just a conversation, because it sounds like Jeff has had positive experience with this one company.
Yeah.
So just an initial conversation, are they even open to, taking on in the short term, right? Because we still have all these families who every day are late. I cannot fathom how we are still in that place in April.
Are any of the schools that closing, do they have their own buses?
Sure.
Or something from KCPS.
KCPS uses a separate service, right? The larger school districts, they have access to different services. The small charters, people don't want to service.
Have we thought about asking for a student to purchase? I mean, they're not using them for Route 2 and 4. So, or 9. So, I mean, could we just take 2, 4, 9 off my hand and see where that takes us?
But that's a good idea.
I mean, honestly,
right.
I
think every question is on the table. I mean,
So that picture you see is celebrating the history of our high school is our first gold medal.
Very cool.
win the first, for the top. So,
That is awesome.
I told her you'll put a piece poster here and say, hey, you're the first gold medal.
Oh, yeah, she gets
So,
in
you know,
the great.
they're having a team there. I think that in a couple of years, we'll have a fantastic high school. It's gonna be great.
Yes, I think it's fantastic now, it's just small, and so I think it will continue to grow, because, I think they're doing impressive things at the high school, so
It's amazing.
it's exciting to see. Just a couple quick things. One, a thank you to Dana. She chatted me that she's gonna buy 2 staff tickets for EIP, so thank you, Dana. Other things, so this June at our retreat, every 2 years, we do elect, sort of leadership positions. Typically, what we like to do is to elect a new secretary, and then ideally, that person moves up to be VP after 2 years and then president after 2 years. So we have a more sort of streamlined succession. So we'll do those elections in June. If anyone is interested, please reach out, let me know. I'd be happy to share more about sort of what the responsibilities of each of those are, but we would mostly be looking to sort of elect a new secretary for this June. Any questions people have? The other thing, in your email, you have dates for Oak and Cherry classroom visits later this month. If you haven't already, let me know if either of those work, and then I'm obsessed with Dr. Paul to find a May date is when we'll do a armor visit. And ideally, people, there's sort of one that will work for your calendar, but I know that can be challenging, so you'll have those in your email and can let me know if you haven't signed up yet. And then I mentioned sort of wanting to do something about just teacher appreciation on behalf of the board to recognize just the amazing work that our teachers do every day through the many challenges that they face. So I think that's all I had. Any questions, final thoughts? Okay, with that, we are adjourned. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Madam Chair.
Oh, yes.
Hi.
Oh, hey, how are you?